And Rudy has a natural card to play there.
Al Sharpton.
Yeah.
You've covered him for decades now.
Yeah.
And another one for which you've had a very contentious relationship. You talk about how you've chronicled him over the years in your relationship. Well,
I always say the worst two people on my beat are the two Als, you know, D'Amato and Sharpton. I mean, Sharpton is... Sharpton, I just was interviewed by Leslie Stahl, they're going to do a 60 Minutes portrait of Al Sharpton. I think it's going to air either this Sunday or next Sunday. And I think I was the token negative voice. I obviously haven't seen the whole thing, so maybe there are 20 negative voices there, but I certainly got the impression it was a very positive piece. And it was Pete Hamill and myself being interviewed by Leslie Stahl in a bar. And, you know, the theme of it seemed to be the new Al Sharpton, the Al Sharpton that Barack Obama, inexplicably as far as I'm concerned, has wrapped his arms around just because he prefers him to Jesse, because of all sorts of problems that occurred over time in Chicago.
And Michael Bloomberg has wrapped his arms around.
Michael Bloomberg is completely wrapped. I mean, I think they've had 3 press conferences with him on different issues, one by Ray Kelly and 2 by the mayor himself in recent weeks. They might as well make him a deputy mayor. He could handle the next snowstorm. Yes. So, you know, they got, at any rate, the terrible thing, really, Leslie Stahl is asking Pete and I questions, and the theme seems to be the new Sharpton. And I said, I met him when he was about 16, which I did. I come from the same neighborhood he does, Ocean Hill, Brownsville. I said he was a young preacher then. I said he was a hustler then. He's a hustler now. The only thing that's happened is the hustle's gotten bigger. And that's, you know, I think that's basically the MO of Al Sharpton. He is, it is really, to me, he could be the next Jeremiah Wright in terms of the next election, because the Republicans, I think, are sitting and waiting and watching. And I would not be at all surprised to see, because I think it's a terrible mistake by Obama to attach himself so much to Sharpton. I would not be surprised to see them try to turn him into a real issue in the next presidential election. You know, and he could blow up in Obama's face.
And yet his fighting for racial justice in this country and continually putting that on the forefront, a figure that media will quote, media will have him on their TV shows. And
yes, you know, I didn't know about this. You guys probably do. There's this rape that occurred in the Dunbar houses in West Palm Beach, Florida, where this black woman was raped by, I think, up to 10 young black men in her apartment in this public housing project. They made her give oral sex to her 12-year-old son. They put her in a bathtub and dumped chemicals all over her. Sharpton went down to defend these guys in West Palm Beach. And to say well, these white boys over in Boca Raton that are getting bail, and they did a gang rape, why are they getting... You know, and I'm telling you, the blowback from black women across the United States, you read the blogs, you look at the history of it, it was just remarkable. And so then Tamika Mallory, who is the national director of his National Action Network, then starts responding to the blogs by, believe it or not, bringing up how Al Sharpton has always been a great defender of black women. They cite Tawana Brawley. He's always stood up against rape of black women. It's a proven hoax, and they're still calling this card out. So that's the kind of way in which the Sharptons sometimes say the right things about public issues. He often does. I'll sit there and watch him on television, and I'll say, I agree with everything the guy's saying. But look, he just did this thing in New York politics where he sat out the gubernatorial election. He basically championed one candidate for the city council in Queens, and he was implicitly supporting, in some ways explicitly supporting, Charles Barron, who was running on an independent line against Andrew Cuomo. So Charles Barron, his candidate for governor, comes in dead last of 6 or 7 candidates. It gets 20,000 votes statewide. His candidate for city council in Queens, who he campaigned for in a way that I have never seen him campaign in a local election, gets wiped out. Black voters reject him every time they get a chance to do so, and yet the white media still empowers him. I mean, he got 8% of the vote when he ran for president in New York State. John Kerry wiped him out in Harlem, and yet still the media treats him as if he's this great spokesperson for black people.
What's your...
Well, Wayne, I wanted to ask you to say something about your comrade in arms, Tom Robbins, and his decision to resign in protest, and then just give us a sense of what's next for you.
Yeah, well, I wrote this blog saying goodbye, and I had a line in there which Tom asked me to take out, and I took out. But since the Times has now revealed that he gave his kidney to a friend, I wrote, I think I'm now authorized to say the line that he asked me to take out. He said it was private biz then, but the Times has now printed that he gave his kidney to a friend. I wrote that he gave a kidney to a friend, but he saved the rest of his body parts for me, you know. And, you know, we walk out of the paper. He's been in on all these meetings, you know, that happened that day. We're going to the subway together, and he says, oh, by the way, I went in and told Tony, I came in with this guy. I'm going out with this guy. I quit. He never mentioned it to me that he was going to do it, thinking about doing it. He just told me about it after he did it. So he's just one of the most remarkable people I've ever known. He's just an extraordinary. I try to persuade him not to do this. I really tried to persuade him not to do it. I even said to him, Tom, if they fired you before they fired me, I wouldn't quit. You know, and he said, you wouldn't? You know? I'm trying to persuade him, go, you know, keep the paper going. You know, that's what counts, you know. But he was determined to do it, and I'm terribly honored that he did it, you know. And you know what a guy he is. He's just the most stand-up guy you'll ever know.
Your plans now?
Well, you know, the good people at the Nation Institute, I was there yesterday afternoon for the first time, have, you know, given me a place to hang my hat. You know, and the Nation Institute is connected to the Nation magazine, but it is not the Nation magazine, and they help fund stories, individual stories. This doesn't involve a wage for me. It may involve a small stipend, but it does give me an office. It gives me databases. It gives me what we all need in this life, an institutional email address. You know, otherwise you just got your personal email address. So it's going to be terrific to work out of there, and I'll write stories. I may write books. I've been astonished at the number of people who have called me. Would you believe I'm going to have a byline in the New York Post on Sunday? They asked me to write something for and it's not about me, you know. So.
And your advice to young journalists?
Well, you can't find a better job. Let's just hope the guys who make the money figure out how to keep the model of a newspaper going. It's a great job. And I've loved every minute of my years at The Voice, and I think I'll love whatever time I have left to hit the keys, because it's just such a great job. And Juan has done this wonderful story about City Time, you know, which is a big scandal in New York City in the Bloomberg administration. And he knows,
really exposed the
yes,
story,
right. And when you have a story like that, you know, which so materially affects the politics of a city in such a fundamental way, and I've had a few of those, you know, there just isn't a greater reward than that. The story is the thing, as Juan knows and you know, and it makes you live and breathe a good story. And I hope to write a few more, but I've loved writing the ones I've written so far.
Well, it's our loss as a city that they've let you go, but we know you're going to resurrect yourself in a new format. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Keep wearing that trench coat, even in the snow today. Okay, Wayne Barrett, former senior editor at the Village Voice, has worked there since 1973. Now will be a fellow at the Nation Institute. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report.